Hey friends, and welcome to the Legacy Boss podcast. It is Shauna Klein along with Marcy, the amazing Marcy. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day or start to your day if you are an early morning riser and listen to podcasts. We are so excited to be with you here today, and we are talking about organizing your day for success.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it's so important.
Yeah. And we're going to be breaking down the three different things on how we structure our days and how we structure our life and business, and going to be helping unpack that in ways that we have found that have been successful for us, and maybe some tips on things that you can do to help make your life, whether you are a full-time 9 to 5er and have a side hustle, or if you're a full-time boss, things that you can do in your life to make it a little better. So we're talking about getting our days going, starting it out on the right foot, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so important. For sure.
I feel like it's crucial and it's a necessity, and it's one of the most overlooked things that we do.
It is. And I speak from experience because I used to, I am a born and bred night owl. Like my core is I would rather stay up all night and sleep in.
Yeah,
So I had
too.
I had to very intentionally swap that out when I really started to work my business, full strength. And full strength doesn't necessarily mean full time, but it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? I had to kind of put a different mindset hat on and realize that my morning routine needed to drastically change.
That's my struggle bus. I mean, let's just talk about it for a second. I am not a morning person, and my husband can literally, his alarm can go off on his watch and it goes BDD. It doesn't even get to the second BDD, and he is sitting up and he is jumping out of the bed. And I'm like,
wow.
I can't stand you right now. That's my first thought. Not that I don't love him, but when that, I mean, he can wake up you all to the BDD tiny alarm on his watch. Like, it's the military. And I know that, right? I know that that wasn't a trained thing, but that is not my story.
No, I feel you. I can tell you from me, when I started to look at it, and being a mom with a bunch of kids, let's just preface this with your morning routine needs to fit you at the place that you are. Like, there's all kinds of great information out there, or, the 5 a.m. club, like, oh, you're only awesome if you get up at 5 a.m. Y'all, there's some of us that cannot, or maybe you're up at 5 a.m. like with a bottle in a baby's mouth and you're like, I can't do my business right now. Like, take off that guilt,
right?
And structure it to be what fits you with your life at this moment. And those can change at any given time, or with the flow of a sports schedule or the age of your children, right?
Yeah.
But for me, all that being said, for me, when I started looking at it, that I needed to claim my day before the rest of my family could.
Claims it for you.
Yeah, because I still have 6 kids at home. I think on one podcast it said, oh, I only have 6 kids. And my oldest, who's at college, literally texts me. He goes, did you forget about me? I'm like, oh my gosh. No. So Dylan, if you're listening, I love you, but you're not at home. So I don't count you as bothering me anymore. But it's like the 6 kids and the husband and all the things that come along with being a mom will claim my day faster than I can spell day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's such a, there's such a thing about starting your day on the wrong foot. I know people always are
Mhm.
like, hey, which side of the bed did you wake up on? There is no right side. There is only getting up and moving in my
Yeah,
in my world. But I think that it is an intentional process, right? And I think that
very.
there's things for me, and I will say this is a very big thing that I have helped people with, but also I have to keep myself in check with, is and that's how I start my day. So most of
Yes.
us have nightstands, and most of us plug our, cell phones and iPads and every other gadget that we have into that outlet right next to our bed. And
Mhm.
we have become very trained to roll over and grab that device.
Yeah.
And it is one of the worst things that we can do in the morning.
Yes.
And I say this from pure experience. Like, I'm not just saying, hey, somebody said you shouldn't do this. No, I have to do a mental check. Like, did you have coffee this morning? Did you use the restroom? Have you done anything before you started looking at what other people are doing in their life, or taking on, the self-sabotage, like, look what they're doing in their business and I haven't,
Yeah.
done this yet. It's a
Yeah.
big problem.
It is. So I have a hot tip for you then, Shauna.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a very structured morning routine. And
Yes.
again, it can change depending on all sorts of things, but it's usually the same, usually very structured. But at night, about an hour before I go to bed, I mean, I pop in bed with my husband. We always watch a little bit of TV before we go to bed. I do my reading, but I turn off the notifications on my phone. I put it on airplane mode. And so I don't get any beeps at night. I don't have anything like that going on. And I do not turn my phone even on in terms of the notifications for about an hour or so, depending on what my morning routine actually consists of. I don't pick it up. If I do pick it up, I might take a photo because I know maybe I want to share it on social media later, or I turn on music. I have a couple little apps that'll put like super light music on while I'm doing my routine, but I do not open my phone at all within at least the first hour to two.
That's so awesome. I do the airplane mode and I put it on silent, and I put my, smartwatch on airplane mode so I'm not getting bzz, bzz in the middle of the night. And that is
Yeah,
something I have been doing for a while. But I will tell you, just with, we have aging parents that don't live here and different things. And so, we're always wanting to make sure if nothing happened in the middle of the night, no one needs to get a hold of us. And that little lie that I told myself then snowballed to, oh, well, I've got to look at it first thing in the morning because I want to make sure nothing happened the night before in the middle of the night.
yeah,
And I think it's the little things we tell ourselves that we're so going to miss out on something. And I just want to say that, and I have started doing those things that I need to be doing. But I think it's a good habit to get into, that because we don't want our first responses in the morning the response of comparison. And I think
no,
that that is such a huge thing, especially for product based bosses and creatives and people that are, in this space where we're looking at this perfectly curated feed, or somebody sends this beautiful email or whatever. And we're like, what did I not do? What did
yeah,
I not show up and do yesterday? So, excuse me. I think it's really important to make sure that we're not doing that. I'm going to
I
let
agree.
you talk about getting healthy while I take a drink of water.
So yes, I would say part of your routine, if you're looking on how to start your day out on success, should absolutely be moving your body, getting active. And there's, different ways to do that. You don't necessarily have to go on a big run. Um, but I would maybe ask a couple questions like, what's the first thing you're putting in your body?
Right.
I would highly recommend it being water
Yeah.
as opposed to any coffee, which, go for your coffee, ladies. Like, I am not trying to take that from you. But drink a jug of water,
Yeah.
put some lemon in there, put some other things if you need to have some flavor, but just get that flushing good water in your system. And another thing, which is, some people might think is a little woo woo, but I've noticed a really big difference in me is I go outside, even if it's cold, and I don't like the cold, y'all. Like, I am not a cold person, but I go outside and I just like take a couple breaths outside.
Yeah.
Point towards the sun. I feel it on my skin. When it gets warmer, I go outside on the grass in barefoot, and you kind of get all those negative ions that kind of enter into your energy, that then turn into positivity. And
Yeah.
so when you kind of can start your day with that breath of fresh air, literally, and getting some water into your body, that will really just kind of sparks that, alertness and,
Yeah.
hey, I'm ready to start my day. I know for me, I really enjoy that.
Yeah. So if you have got your morning routine all planned out and you're in the cross off perfect category, don't switch off yet. We still got some stuff to talk about. But for some of us that do not have the morning routine as an A+ and a 4.0 student in that grade, I think it's super important for us to just dissect this for people, because it's
Okay.
so hard for a lot of people to feel like they can fit everything into this day, right? Like, I know
Yeah.
that it's overwhelming, and people like my husband, or I think sometimes guys have a little bit more of that quick, they just get to things a little bit quicker, and women take a lot longer to do stuff. They've got to do our hair and makeup, and we got to get ready, and we've got to help the kids get ready. There's all these things. Not that I'm harping on the dads, because there's lots of dads out there that help tons. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that we feel like there's these spinning plates, and adding one more thing just feels overwhelming. But I can honestly tell you that when we get it right the first step in the morning, then all the other steps just feel a little bit easier. We've talked about eating the frog first. So if you guys have not checked out our other episode, and I can't remember which one it was, we'll put a link in it in the description. But we just talked about eating the frog first, and there's some YouTube you can check those videos out. Just talks about it. But basically, the premise is that if you eat a frog first, it's the first thing you do. It's the most detestable thing that you're going to do the whole day. Once you've done, everything else should be easy, right? Everything else should be like, well, that everything's better than that. So I think that sometimes talking about setting our day up for success is so important. So let's talk about being quiet in the morning. I know that a lot of people go, okay, that's just, I don't have time for that. And it's, like, I don't know what to do or what to say or how to be, but just getting still is so important.
It is. And, I think it's okay, like what you were just talking about with the differences between men and women, because that there's legitimate science there, right? You have the more masculine energy, which is going and a to-do list and let me check it off and boom, 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 which most of the time as moms, we're actually in that masculine energy because we're just, running an army, right? But when you're in your feminine energy, and again, men and women go back and forth, and as they should. But for women, when you can start your day in that feminine energy, which is getting still and quiet and listening to your intuition and gathering thoughts and inspiration, that will be crucial to your success. I promise you. So having those times when you can get quiet, when you can be still, when you can maybe do some vision casting or some journaling, and have that time in the morning before you start that to-do list, before you open up those emails, even before you do that morning frog, right? When you can just have those quiet moments to yourself, I promise you that you will experience a change in your mental alertness and even just your mindset. I highly, highly recommend it.
My husband and I were talking about this just recently, just about how easy it is to get kind of out of the practice of intentional morning routines. And, he has he had a really bad case of pneumonia in one of his lungs for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And so he hasn't been able to do any like strenuous physical activity, and he loves to work out. And he was just sharing with me yesterday. He said, I'm to a place where working out after work was okay for me, but now because work is getting busier because some of the things are changing, and he works in the healthcare space, he's like, I don't have enough. There's not enough of me in my mental capacity to do what I want to do at the end of the day. So I am going to have to get up earlier so that I can be intentional about doing this. So I think for men and women, it's so important, the way that we categorize things differently, to start that time out and be realistic about what it is that we need for ourselves. Because if we're not filled up, we can't give anything away. There's nothing left. You can't give something that you don't have. So we have to be super, super specific with charging out our day with big intention, right? Like not just kind of like moseying into our day. Like, well, if it happens, it happens.
Yes.
We've got to set up something with a clear and specific and decisive attack, right?
Yes. So really, if we want to look at starting our morning off amazing, I would backwards rewind a little bit to the night before, and really to plan your day before it begins.
Yeah.
So so it's like if you worked a 9 to 5 and you walked into your office and your boss met you at the door and gave you a list and said, here's everything that you need to get done today. You would be like, okay, awesome. And there you have on your desk basically a checklist of everything that you have to do to keep your job, right? Well, when you're your own boss, you have to create that own checklist, literally, or you'll find yourself lost in the scroll or doing something meaningless that's not going to like be an income producing activity or things like that. So if the night before you can look at your calendar and then transfer that onto a planner, right? You all know I'm a big proponent of a planner. And do those things that are like, what do I have to do? What do I want to do? What do I need to do? And you make your own checklist.
Yeah.
And it's great because you can kind of mind dump, you can sleep better. And then when you wake up and you kind of complete that little morning routine that's just for you.
Yeah. So important. Like even as business owners, we have to stay consistent. And we have to be intentional about it. So how do we show up and serve? Well, I just really feel like we have the greatest tool, and that is just to ask. I feel like we can ask people what it is that they want, they need, and then what their pain point is, and then just show up and serve.
Yes.
And I think that because we work with product-based bosses, and a lot of them spend a lot of time creating and developing and sourcing and doing inventory and all these things, sometimes what happens is we spend all of our time doing those things, and those are all amazing things, but those are not necessarily income generating things. Creating a product or making a product or sourcing a product is still not selling the product.
Yes.
And so I feel like sometimes it's easy because both Marcy and I have product-based businesses as well. We're not talking from a place of, we used to do this and now we, just coach people and train people and write content and just do this. We are still in the game. And so I think that it's important that we have to schedule those times appropriately, because we can get so caught in the weeds of just doing those one type of thing and not moving over into this other place. Does that make sense? To make sure it's balanced.
Exactly. And that really is even a way to show up differently on social media, right? I think sometimes as those product-based entrepreneurs, we kind of just go, well, all we're supposed to do is sell on social media, but that's not true. And what you just said is a great example of, okay, how can you show up on social media and serve? Let's say whatever your product is and you're sourcing and maybe you have to find certain ingredients, and you've tried a few different ones and you found some great resources. boom, there's a fabulous social media post of you showing up and serving
Yeah.
other people. Is be like, hey, here's my top 3 resources where I find great fragrances for my soaps. And doing a Instagram reels on that, or just doing a stagnant post, on Instagram, or making a fun TikTok video, right? That is showing that you are willing to serve and share and be there for other people that are just like you building a business. They're going to go, that girl's awesome, instead of just constantly only trying to like sell, right?
Well, yeah. And I think that there's, in the creative space, there is such a, and I think this is something that we really have to, and I'm a creative too, so we have to really push past this, that we have to hold on to everything that we create as being mine, like the secret sauce that I can't share with anyone, because somehow someone else can copy it and it devalues the creator. And I think that we have to be really careful about that, because when we invite people into our business, then they take part of becoming part of the process, and there's a buy-in that happens. And it's, it's kind of like a relationship, like a friendship. If you're always sharing with me and I never reciprocate the share back, you're going to get
Yeah.
tired of it after a while. You're going to be like, like, and I think it's a relationship too. And we're not talking about transactional, right? The legacy boss is never been about transactional. It's always about transformational. And so, yes,
Yes.
there is a transaction that happens sales wise, but what are you going to do to keep that person coming back time and time again? Because if it's just transactional, you can go anywhere and buy that same soap, right? So we've got to change our mindset about that. And we have to be intentional about the tasks that we're creating. And as Marcy was saying, come up with a fun TikTok or share something. But other people also want to know what it is that makes you tick, why you
Yeah.
do what you do, right?
Yes. Yes. It's that whole, getting to know someone. And I think that's what people are drawn to on social media is not feeling alone and feeling like you have a connection. And so when you come across someone who has an amazing product, but they also have an amazing soul, and they're, sharing all kinds of value and showing up on social media to serve, you'll stand out.
Yeah.
Yes, there's hundreds of soaps, thousands of millions of soap companies probably, but there's only one you.
Right.
So showing up as you with that, servant leadership mindset is, so amazing, and really an easy way to set yourself apart, for sure.
Yeah, and it's not, again, we talk about throwing spaghetti against the wall. In
Yeah.
fact, we laugh about this because it's some people's, philosophy, and it's their marketing strategy. Let's just do whatever, and hopefully it will work out for me. And rarely does that ever work out. And then we end up hearing back from the people going, I don't know why it didn't work. It's because we're setting up, doing things with intention. It just goes back to the same thing that I say all the time, is it's small steps made with intention gets us to the place we want to go. Like, we move, it's like moving the chains, moving the ball, moving anything forward. We do that rarely with these big leaps and bounds. Occasionally can someone help us, jump from, a 10-yard line to a 10-yard line, but it's usually not that way. And I'm using football analogies, and hopefully the guys will, we have a football mom who's on a football scholarship. And I'm a big football fan. So, but we need to be specific and understand that we don't need to lead, even if we feel like our leading is by an inch, like there's not that many people we're serving. We're not serving for the people we have. We're serving for the people that are going to be there, who are going to show up and be in our tribe. So keep that mindset. Like, just because it's not here today doesn't mean that it's a telltale for tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's all about why you just need to show up for yourself first.
Yes.
And why those morning time that you're going to create. And I know after this, you're going to, get some great ideas and create your own little morning ritual. But when you can give to yourself first, then you're able to give to everybody else in such a more authentic and real way. And I know that's what we're all about here at the Legacy Bosses, those real, authentic ways to show up and serve and to build your business. But you have to give to yourself first and realize that you're important.
Yeah. And those things are so often become things that we don't view as important, like trivial, like pushed to the side. And then we wonder, how did I get here? How did I get from feeling so good about this to being so discouraged and so frustrated? And I think it's because the one little thing that we do that builds upon, we talked about, I think it was our last podcast, we were talking about mindset and about those rubber bands. So if y'all didn't listen to that one, it is a on fire podcast. You can catch it wherever you listen to your podcast, as well as YouTube. But being just intentional about where we're putting our consistent mindset. And it goes to the next point, is getting your business in alignment. It is so important that we structure it. When you go work for any boss, if they're a good boss, they structure things in a way like pillars, things that you can accomplish. They've got maybe things that you need to do today, and then things you need to do this week, and then you've got goals for the month, and they set things out strategically, because they know if they just throw 100 things at you at one time, you're going to get overwhelmed, frustrated, and most likely quit.
Yeah.
And so, but we do the same thing with ourselves that we would never do for someone else.
I know. Why do we do that?
I don't know. Like, as a mom, when my oldest daughter, who's a teenager, said, if you want me to do something, tell me the one thing you want me to do. And then when I'm done, tell me the next thing. She said, because when you tell me 5 things, I get so overwhelmed, and I'm just like, forget it. Like, I don't even want to do the first one, because it's just too much information. It's too many lists and this and that. Like, just give me what I need to do, what I need to accomplish, and then check it off. And so get your business in alignment. For me, it was really important about getting structured. And I have to be, Marcy will know, super structured. So, my friend is the Trello boards, and I have tons of Trello boards, and it is a productivity maze for some. But for me, I'm a visionary. I am a goal caster and a trailblazer. And so I have all these different things running around in my head, but I've got to get those in alignment, because I can't just have 100 different, things going and then nothing coming out of that.
Right. Yeah.
Marcy goes, your brain makes me just like,
it's crazy. It's crazy. And I would say I have my structure. That's why I have my planner. I'm more of a write down person as opposed to on the computer. It's just what works best for me. But for me, I have to be a little bit more spontaneous, is how I function better. And I think it's probably the 7-kid thing.
Oh, yes.
Because if it was like, I can't break the structure, I would fall apart every time some kid comes flying in here, or someone starts screaming because they seen a mouse. That literally happened in my house yesterday. I thought someone died. And it's like, so I have to be able to, like, on the fly move around.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really crucial, is to find what works for you. Get great ideas. If you pulled some ideas from this podcast, write them down, try them out.
Yes.
Add one at a time, right? So you don't get that overwhelm.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, the very first thing I start my day with, and so I'm just going to throw this out there. I feel like maybe somebody needs to hear this. So when I get those downloads, I just spew them out. But I start with reading my scriptures.
Yeah.
And then I say a prayer, and then I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I put them on a sticky note, and I put them right here where my window is. And I focus on that during the day. That's the very first thing I start my day with. And I feel like if I can start my day off by giving thanks to my creator and just spending some time in that spiritual mode, it just starts my day off awesome. And if that's all I get done with my little routine, I know that I've done the best thing for my soul and myself, and I will be blessed for my business. Yeah. And then if I can do other things, like do my vision casting and do some meditating and exercise and, do those other things. And that's just going to compound. But you want to find those things that are going to start you off on the right foot and then build upon that. Right.
Yeah. So true. And one of the things that we haven't really discussed is organizing not only our time, but organizing our thought life. And that's such a huge thing. I think, we talked about mindset last time on our podcast. And I think that so many times we get into a place where we can self-sabotage our own life and business. And so organizing our thoughts is important too. And not allowing ourselves to take the time to kind of dig ourselves a hole and sit in it. One of the things I tell my husband is like, you're supposed to walk through the valley and go up the mountain. You're not supposed to camp out in the valley. Like, let's not pitch a tent and have a picnic.
Yes.
Like where it might be the depths of despair. I mean, that's up for debate, but it might be the worst thing. But we're supposed to overcome, which means we're supposed to walk through the valley and get up onto the mountaintop, right? And so deciding to pitch your tent and sit down and build a fire, probably not a good idea. It's not a good thing for getting ourselves in alignment in our thought life. And so when we do the things, right, we do the things that we need to do to move the ball forward, and we set ourselves for productivity. And I do use my planner, as well as just making sure that my what do I call it? Like my I can't even think. My productivity, my projects are like I have my things I need to do, but then I have my projects, right? And I have to work through those. So scheduling our time, but scheduling our thought life. Don't let yourself get into a place of poor's me, woe is me. I mean, Marcy and I, we have our own struggles, guys. We have the same things that you guys deal with. The only thing that's different is we have a decision and a choice whether we're going to sit down, camp out, grill some hot dogs, or we can keep our feet moving.
Yes. So true. I actually just made a YouTube video that all I talk about on there, it's just real short, is I will until. You have to have that until. You have to have that strong why, so that when you're in that valley, when you're wanting to just cook up some hot dogs, you're like, no, I will keep moving until. Like, what is your until? And it has to be massive and big, or you're going to get stuck in that valley, right?
Yeah. And you got to keep your feet moving forward, right? You can't just stop. So we'll just kind of a recap. Find a morning routine that works for you. Guys, there's no one telling you what you have to do or how you have to do it, but create a morning routine and be consistent. Stick with it. If it's not feeling right and it's not authentic, change it. If you're not getting the things done that you need to do, fix it. Take your day and charge at it with intention. Be specific what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to get from point A to B, and how you're going to make it work. And then the third one is getting your business in alignment. That includes your productivity, you're organizing your time and your thoughts, and then schedule your week. Don't just be like, hey, it'll happen when it happens.
It won't.
It won't, because you know what? Something's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
And then all you're saying is, I'm perfectly fine in this comfort zone, and that will take over. If you're just like, oh, I'll figure it out. No, you won't, because your body doesn't like that. It doesn't want to feel stretched and hurt. No. And so you have to force it by just going, this is what I'm going to do today.
Yeah. You have to literally tell yourself what you're going to do, because once our brain decides, we get going.
Yeah.
So decide. Yeah. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is setting realistic goals and managing them well. Do not, and I repeat, don't set a goal that you cannot. I know she's flashing her fingers because I got real intense. I'm not an intense person at all, Marcy says, cough, cough. Set realistic goals and manage them well, meaning Don't set unrealistic expectations that you know that you cannot achieve. I did a YouTube post about this morning in our candle group, which got like 85,000 people. And then we have a product-based entrepreneurs Facebook group. So if you are a product-based boss, make sure you jump over there to join. But it was all about, hey, it's March 1st. Guess what? We got to set some goals, but
Yeah.
don't set unrealistic goals. Like, and then figure out what it is that you need to accomplish that. Can you do it yourself? Do you need to pull in help? Do you need to hire someone? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And then be able to figure out how to get to that. So if you're just like, hey, listen, I make $10 a week now selling my whatever, and I'm going to make 10,000 next month. Let's talk about this. It's probably going to take a little bit more planning and production and different things like that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to set a goal that is achievable, but that will also stretch you.
100%.
So if you're literally only making $10, then maybe double it. That could be a massive thing to accomplish. Yes, you can definitely do that, but you're still going to have to do some huge new tasks to double that number. And so if you can set that big one up during the day or during the beginning of the month, if you're setting like a monthly goal, you got to put that out there. And then you go, okay, what are those micro goals that I need to take to reach there? What's the first micro goal? And then when I get that, what's the second one? What's the third one? What are those little steps I need to take on that path? And so when you can kind of break it down like that, it becomes achievable, and it becomes like, okay, I can do this, instead of setting yourself up for failure, which would be some crazy massive $10 to 10,000. Like, come on, y'all.
And the benchmarks are so important. So in a product-based business, say we'll do it for a month out, because that's kind of how product bosses roll. We do a month, and then we do a quarter, and then we do annual. But when we're setting our projections for a month, most of the time we do it by a week, because it gives us a 7-day rundown, meaning, okay, from this date to this date, I have 7 days in which to get from here to here. So if you're in the third week and you're rounding the corner, and it's 3 days from the end of the month, you know exactly what you need to do to push in order to hit that, right? So you're like, I am $1,000 short of my goal. What can I do strategically? We're 3 days out. What is in my wheelhouse to hit that and be able to push through? So if we don't have measurable goals, then we don't know how to get there, right? So
exactly,
we need to make sure that we're setting expectations for ourselves, right? To be like, okay, we're 3 days to the end of the month, and we didn't do the first step in the first 3 weeks to get there, and now we're like, I'm so upset. Be realistic with it, and manage them well. Like, have a little conversation. Marcy is amazing. If you guys need somebody in your life that is an amazing time management person, y'all DM Marcy, because she can help you with this and get you structured. But if you are going to be working through a week at a time, then Sunday night needs to be your day where you're like, okay, what is my intention for this week? Like, what do I have to do to achieve a $500 week? Be specific, because it's not going to just happen. Wishful thinking is not a plan or a strategy in the least.
No.
And guys, this is all from tough love. Like, we are not saying, we're not showing up here to make everybody feel like, oh, life is wonderful. You're just going to just wish hard and hope and pray, and it's all going to happen. No, it's going to take a little bit of hard work. You have to roll your sleeves up, and you're going to have to be intentional.
Yes.
But we love you.
Well, that's the thing. There's enough woo-ha, you-ha, let's motivate you. Like, we're all about that too. But because we've been through that, and really, I think, I know with me, when I say something, it's because I've been through it. I've made the mistake of just going, I'll
Yep,
make this
we
great
haven't.
vision board and it'll all come true. It's like, no, you make the vision board so you know what you're focused on, what your goal is, but you still have to do the work to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's important that we are being honest with ourselves. And,
Mhm.
we want you guys to experience massive growth. And massive growth does not come from sitting down and just contemplating on how to get there. Like, this is action. We're action takers. We are action takers that want you to take action so that you can grow in 2021 to your best place ever. And so that when 2021 rolls at 11:59 and 59 seconds and it rolls to 2022, you can be like, I had my best year ever, my best year
Yeah.
yet. And so in order to do those, we have to take steps. Then super important. So I would be remiss if I did not mention, and some of you hearing this, it'll be a couple weeks behind because we do our podcasts a little bit in advance, but today we rolled out our brand new program. It is a subscription called the Social Creative. And you guys, this has been such a labor of love because
Yes.
Marcy and we have been on the struggle bus with how to show up authentically in our product-based biz and really engage with people on this level that is the know, like, and trust factor. And we have spent countless hours really drilling down to what's important and how we can help you guys get to the place that you want to be in your business. And so we are so excited and over the moon.
Yay!
It launched. So if you want to head over to www.legacy-boss.com and click on the tab Social Creative, it will take you to the amazing thing. But this is the coolest part. Marcy knows we are inside of the Facebook group that is only for the Legacy Boss Social Creative and coach clients, you guys, where we are in there to help you through the process. And we are in there because we want you to be in it to win it.
Yes. Like today, I just decided to hop on. We did a Facebook Live in there. We kind of did what we talked about today is what are your goals? Let's set some intentional goals. And we did like a little workshop just on the fly. So if you really want some high contact with Shauna and I, that is definitely the place to be, is the Legacy Boss.
Yeah, for sure. Society. Well, we are so glad that you guys have joined us for this episode of organizing our days for success on the Legacy Boss podcast. We are looking forward to seeing you guys on YouTube next time and on wherever we get podcasts. So make sure that if you are on our YouTube channel, you are subscribing below, and we will see you guys next time. Have a great day, and let's rock this month out.
Yes.